No Man's Sky Beyond, and more coming up on today's episode of the latest in tech news. Hey, Gadget here. You're just in time for the latest episode in the world's only 3-in-1 show on tech, gadgets, and gaming news. That's right, this is the latest in tech news. My name is Taylor Merrick, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now so that you don't miss out on the next episode. We do this on the daily, so I would hate to have you miss out. Speaking of what's to, hate is No Man's Sky. Or to like. I don't know. It's really, No Man's Sky is a game that came out that impressed everybody and then just immediately split like everybody in half in terms of I like the game or I hate the game and never even touched it. But we'll be getting into No Man's Sky Beyond. The trailer just dropped today, so we'll be getting a little bit into that, and I think you'll enjoy the topic that we have on hand. Also, we'll be taking a look at Google introducing a new podcast section about stuff you're searching for, a new iMessage exploit allowing hackers to hijack your iPhone by simply sending you a message. This is kind of concerning, so we'll be taking a look at that. We'll also be taking a look at Dell's new XPS 13 2-in-1 that goes on sale today. And with that out of the way, let's head on over to Today in Tech History. Oh, yeah, you're probably wondering, you're like, well, I thought he was going to say, did you know? Wanted to make sure that you're paying attention. Did you know? I haven't been able to find any Did You Know segments. I've kind of had to keep things quick. As you can tell, I've been busy behind the scenes doing a lot of things. But today is August 8th, 2019. On this day in history, in 1980, the Project Chess team at IBM shows a prototype microcomputer to their corporate management. Management gives approval for the team to build an operational computer with a 1-year deadline to complete in the rapidly emerging personal computer market. 1 year and 4 days later, the IBM PC is introduced to the world, and the rest is history. And that's kind of how it all started from there. In case you didn't know, it did. That's how it did. And finally, on this day in 1995, Netscape Communication Corp goes public after generating revenues of $16.6 million in the previous 12 months. Shares jumped from, get this, $28 to $75 before closing at $58 the first day. Netscape was co-founded by Mark Andreessen, who had earlier written a Mosaic web browser while a student at the University of Illinois. Kind of interesting to think about, like all this stuff going on. Wow, so this is how the internet came about. Wow, this is how the computer came about. Yeah. Well, enough to think about. Let's head on over to today's feature story. Alright, so love it or hate it, No Man's Sky Beyond, the trailer has dropped for it. And this comes directly from No Man's Sky. And it says, hello, thank you for your patience. Our biggest update yet launches in a little under a week on August 14th, and we couldn't be more excited to share this trailer with you, showing off the massively expanded online component of Beyond for the first time. And we'll play this a little bit without music here and just take a look at it. I mean, this is looking a lot more closer to what they had promised us in the initial E3 that started getting all the hype going around No Man's Sky. So I'm actually kind of wondering, like, what was the disconnect? So they understand it too. I mean, they bombed it. They bombed the launch pretty good. And I'll leave it at that. So ever since then, they've been trying to claw their way back into the good graces of the gamers that they betrayed. Hopefully winning back somewhat of a core audience. And it seems at this point, they're starting to do just that. They're starting to finally deliver on what they promised. Initially, way back, that should have been part of the initial release, which would have been made easier had they just not done it. Just do it right the first time. It's essentially, gaming companies are going to learn, oh, we have to release a finished game to the best of our ability with the features promised in the trailer and all the hype surrounding it. Otherwise, people are going to hate the game. Right. So Beyond is a culmination of 12 months of work on what was originally going to be 3 large, separate updates. The more we got into development, however, the more those individual pieces started to coalesce and become interdependent on each other. Virtual reality is cool and a major undertaking for a procedurally generated universe, but virtual reality becomes all the more enjoyable and immersive when you're playing with friends, be they VR players or not. Now, bringing the social multiplayer enhancements we wanted to make together with VR seem not only desirable and natural, but unstoppable. Remember that everything you see in our launch trailer can be experienced in VR if you have a headset. So, even go on to, I guess I have a little trailer about this, about putting on a headset and looking at everything. So, yeah, I guess they'll be telling us a little bit more about some other elements of Beyond very soon. It's not only their biggest update to date, but it feels like most important. It feels like all the different strands of the game have come together and unified the experience more than any other update before it. The community has helped us to get to this point in so many ways. Your feedback, encouragement, and support fuels us and makes us strive for more and better every day. Much love, Sean. So, because he's the one who wrote the letter. So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully this can actually start bringing No Man's Sky back into the good graces of the players and could finally find and keep its loyal following, keep it growing, keep it enjoying it. Still, the one thing that I miss in No Man's Sky, I mean, I understand the whole exploration and the discovery aspect of it, and that's cool and that's fun. But when do you get a gun to shoot stuff? Like, I think you do. Or do you? I don't know. Like, I'd like it. When I look at No Man's Sky, I think like a cooler version, like a more modernized feel of Minecraft. Not the whole blocky textures and everything else that goes along with Minecraft. But, you know, kind of similar? I don't know. I could be wrong. What am I talking about? I don't know. If you're excited about No Man's Sky Beyond, let me know down in the comments section if you're watching via YouTube. And if you're listening via the podcast, let us know on Twitter at TechNewsGadget. All right, so Google, meanwhile, introduces a new podcast section about stuff you're searching for. So, you know how you like to follow certain podcasts because they present content you expect in a way you can expect? Well, what if you just need a crash course on a topic? It used to be that you couldn't just put in a search term as you could on YouTube and grab a variety of shows about a certain topic or featuring a certain person. It is the case now, though, and you can use Google search to find people and topics on podcast. Now, when you search with terms like podcast with Bill Hader or podcast about cities, you'll now see a new podcast module with a carousel of episodes from various shows. And playing an episode will take you either to the Google Podcast app or its web portal, where you'll see the episode description, metadata, playback controls, and the other typical bits you'd find in such an interface. Google says it intends to evolve podcast search so that the module may appear without users having to insert podcast into their queries, which would definitely be helpful. Expect this feature to come into the Google Podcast fold as well as Google Assistant, and you'll be able to use your Google Home or other assistant speaker to get a mix of podcasts about, I don't know, your choice. It's completely up to you. Now, I believe I have covered part of this podcast news in a previous episode. I'm a podcaster at heart. I've been podcasting for many, many years now, and you're just like, well, what do you mean you've been podcasting for many, many years? Trust me when I say it. Even though the latest in tech news has only been around for a year, I've been podcasting for many, many, many years. Prior to that, it seems to be my go-to, and it's kind of what helped me figure out how to do things online is podcasting, because I'd go out and I'd research and I'd record and learn, and it's a never-ending cycle of good and bad. But this is one feature definitely excited about. Looking here on Google, and you can actually look at podcasts now, so I'm definitely excited about that. By the way, how many of you listen to podcasts? Raise your hand. Oh, gotcha. Because I can't see. No, I can't see what you're doing right now. I know you think I am, but I can't. Well, you might if you're watching us on YouTube. That's youtube.com/TechNewsGadget. But if you're listening to us in the podcast of choice, did you know that you can get the articles for everything we covered on today's show right there in the podcast app that you're listening on? It's true. Just go to like more details or description or read more about the metadata. Right there. The links are right there. Tap and enjoy to your heart's content. All right, now this news is a little bit creepy. Apparently, a new iMessage exploit allows hackers to hijack your iPhone by simply sending you a message. A new interactionless bug in iMessage was recently discovered that could allow hackers to gain access to your iPhone. The exploit, being interactionless, means that you don't even need to do anything. Download any files, click any suspicious links to get your device compromised. What's even worse, you don't even need to open an iMessage app for the exploit to work. You see, at the Black Hat Security Conference in Las Vegas this week, Google Project Zero researcher Natalie Silvanovich showed off a number of these so-called interactionless bugs in iMessage that could be used to gain remote access to an iPhone. Wired reports that Apple has already patched 5 of them, but there are still a handful of ways that are yet to receive the company's attention. Following the recently uncovered vulnerabilities in WhatsApp, Silvanovich and her colleague Samuel Grobe started investigating for similar exploits in SMS, MMS, and voicemail. Couldn't find any there. Then they shifted their attention to iMessage and started reverse engineering the app, which led to some worrisome discoveries. According to the researchers, the vulnerabilities that they uncovered in iMessage are likely the result of the complex and ever-expanding nature of the app. Apple's messaging client not only allows users to send each other files, voice messages, photos, and emojis, but also has many integrations with third-party apps like OpenTable and Airbnb. Yeah, which makes securing every potential backdoor increasingly difficult, though the researchers claim that Apple is actually doing a pretty good job here. The iOS has many security checks in place, but the bug that they discovered takes advantage of the underlying logic of the operating system, which makes it possible to bypass the security net. A potential attacker could send a targeted iMessage with specific content in it that Apple's servers would interpret in a certain way and send the target a message that would then automatically trigger the exploit, granting access to the phone. So, yeah, hopefully they'll figure that out soon. I'm not too concerned because this was at a Black Hat Security Conference, so Google's already on the case. YouTube, Yahoo, Bing, Microsoft, Apple, they're all the big wigs are all on top of all of this, so I'm likely not too concerned about it, but just something to keep an eye on. Don't want to cause any panic, but just so that you're aware. All right, moving on to some gadget news. The new XPS 13 from Dell, a 2-in-1. Wow, man, look, I'm looking at it right now. You have no idea if you're listening to the podcast. That's why if you want to watch the show on YouTube, you certainly can. youtube.com/TechNewsGadget. But if you're on the go, I completely understand. Look at this. That looks nice. Looking at a couple photos here of it. Yeah. So today, Dell began taking orders in the US for the new 2019 version of the XPS 13 2-in-1 convertible laptop. In this update, the XPS 13 2-in-1 has seen a hardware redesign with a different hinge and keyboard, and many people will be glad to hear that the laptop's formerly infamous webcam, for those of you wondering, I did cover this last year, is going to be placed above the screen, not below. Otherwise, that was the main critique of an otherwise strong laptop in previous reviews, because it's like, why do I have to point the camera? You're looking at my nose hair. My eyes are up here. Hello? So they finally went, oh, I think it worked better if we put it at the top of the laptop. Yeah. Oh, in terms of internals, the new XPS 13 2-in-1 sports 10th gen Intel Core CPU options ranging from the Core i3 105G1 at the low end to the Core i7 1065G7 at the top. Dell claims the machine will be 2.5 times more powerful than its predecessor. It can also be configured with up to 1 terabyte of solid-state storage and 32 gigs of RAM. The top graphics solution available is Intel Iris Plus integrated graphics that come with the fastest Intel CPU. To accommodate these new internals, Dell developed a new 2-fan cooling system. This laptop also has a 13.4-inch touchscreen that supports Dolby Vision HDR or HDR 400, depending on the spec, and that comes in either 1920 by 1200 or 4K variants. Thanks to reduced bezels, that screen is 7% larger than last year's. Other specs like 500 nits of brightness, 90% of DCI-P3 in the 4K variant, and either 1500:1 or 1800:1 contrast ratios make this a very strong consumer display laptop. Connectivity options include 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports and a headphone jack. Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5 are supported in all configurations. there are plenty of other minor features too on it, which I guess they got a earlier hands-on with the device. Ars Technica did, at least. For example, Dell partnered with iSafe to bring low blue light mode to the screen, potentially reducing eye strain and sleep disruption for users. Now, question is, what's the price? Well, the XPS 13 2-in-1 starts at $1,000, whereas the top standard configuration will set you back $2,600. Dell is taking orders online right now, but delivery dates appear to fall in early to mid-September. So, all that considered, is finally they fixed the one stupid thing on the XPS, and it looks so much better. See? Because it used to sit right down here, the camera did, and now they went, oh, maybe if we put it up top here. Whoa, where it's supposed to go. Guys, I think you probably just did it for comedy's sake. Like, I wonder if they're going to totally get it if we put it right down here. We're going to say, got him. Every single time they complain about it, we'll be like, got him. They trolled him. And then we'll play the Rickroll song, except we can't actually do that because that'd be kind of weird. But we Rickrolled him. Pretty good. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. You thought I had another story for you guys. Well, so did I. Apparently, that's all the news that we have for today. So with that, that wraps up this episode of the latest in tech news. Thanks for tuning in, guys. New episodes every weekday. The latest in tech news can be found on every major platform, including Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Stitcher, Overcast, and more. Now, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button and by leaving a comment if you're watching the video. And if you're listening to the podcast version, hey, share this with a friend. And be sure to leave us a review. Also, double check that you are subscribed so that you don't miss the next episode. I'm your host, Taylor American. Remember, for latest in tech, gadget, and gaming news, visit TechNewsGadget.net. Pretty much, keep being awesome, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.